So we are trying to explain the type of inverse problem created by games. So we have two ways to analyze this inverse problem. We have on the CDF case, we have the G. The G may be estimated, the sigma is known, and we have to inverse this equation. Or in case of quantile, we do the inversion of this equation, and we have this other form here. To give you two other examples. So remember, I continue the story about auction. So I have considered first price auction. In the first price auction, you pay what you bid. In the second price, you pay the second price. And we can also consider third price auction. They are less employed, but we have worked a lot on that. In the third price auction, so we have a private price. You propose a bid, and you pay. You win if you propose the highest price, but you pay the third price. And so in this, I am not able to explain why, but in principle, this avoids collusion. And so the Nash equilibrium may be derived. It has this form, except that it is not a big F, but it is a small f here. So we have this type of Nash equilibrium, where lambda is some parameter characterizing the utility curve, the form of the utility of an agent. If they are adverse to risk or if they are risk lover, the different value of lambda. So lambda is assume that it is a given parameter. So here we are in the case where we have capital F divided by small f, the density of psi. This is a more complicated situation as another type of model, which are contracts. And then I will not explain how it may be derived. This type of model appears in particular in nonlinear pricing rule. When you pay your tickets to the airline company, they have a way to determine the price of your ticket depending on the time, your age, or the characteristic, which typically involve a more complicated rule. But we have this form. So what we observe is the X. And so there are an unknown variable psi, and the X has this form, and it is the ratio of the cumulative distribution divided by the density of this distribution here. So here there is also a mistake. So the C are actually the G here. So we are looking. Don't look at these equations. There are a mistake. I am going back to this equation here, and I look to this equation as a nonlinear inverse problem. So in order to analyze that by standard technique, so like iterative models or some kind of non-linear Tikhonov regularization, in order to illustrate the type of problem I have, we have people working on that. So I have computed the Fréchet derivative of the right-hand side of my equation here. So this is at the true point f. It is a function of f tilde, some object in the tangent space of my space. And so I have the psi here. And so what we can see is that it has this form. So if you take this problem in the case of this sigma function, by doing all the computation, we get the Fréchet derivative of the t here, which has this form here. So we have a part which is just the product of L tilde by some function, and an integral part here. And so we can intuitively understand that the inverse, at least locally, of the problem involve derivatives, and then the estimation of f will be at a lower rate as the estimation of the g, due to the structure of this Fréchet derivative here. What it is interesting in that in that auction game, a first price auction game, is to look at the form of the problem under the quantile form. And in that case, it appears that the quantile form model is more easy because it creates a linear inverse problem. So the quantile, it should be an alpha here, sorry, I have a lot of mistake. The quantile function of the bid we can observe is equal to the integral of the quantile function of the private value weighted by some function here. And we have this expression here, which may be represented equivalently on that form here. And so this creates a linear inverse problem. And here we can easily control the degree of idempoteness of the problem because it is typically an integral here. So it's intuitively it has a degree of idempoteness equal to 1 because the kernel of the operator here is the indicator function multiplied by this, but this is very easy. And to see that, we can solve exactly the inverse problem by derivatives. So if we are So there are different ways, and this is an interesting exercise to compare different ways to solve this inverse problem. The first case, the first way we may use, we can have a smooth version of the left-hand side of the equation, and then we get very easily, by derivative of that, we get easily an expression of the quantile function we are looking for. So what it is very easy to understand from this equation, that we will learn f or f minus 1 at the rate we learn g minus 1 or g. So we have a non-parametric rate on the estimation of the distribution function. And if you take the density, we have a lower rate because it is the second order derivative. So typically what we get in that case, that the density of the types are estimated at the rate of the second order derivative of the cumulative distribution function of the bits. So this is something we may so we can do another thing. Instead of smoothing the R and taking this expression here, we may estimate the g minus 1 by the empirical quantile function, and after use the Tikhonov regularization. So we have developed, but that I will not present, we have developed a lot of simulation in that case. Apparently, even if it is very simple, this does not work well. But the estimation of g minus 1 by empirical quantile and the inversion using Tikhonov or Landweber iteration with a penalty by the derivatives seems to work very well and to be the best way to estimate that model. But it is just an empirical result. It's not asymptotically everything has the same behavior. Still on the game model, and this is a nice exercise, and I think to see that, we have showed before two examples of games where the dependence with respect to the f is totally captured by the ratio big F divided by the density. So economists call that hazard rate. It's not hazard rate, but it looks like the hazard rate is F divided by 1 minus F. But in the economic literature, people call that hazard rate. And so we have followed the same terminology. We call these games hazard rate models. So where the dependence, this is not true for the first price auction, but this is true for the third price auction, for contract model, for a lot of other models here. So the x depend on the x of psi and f as this form. A is a known function, is dependent on psi and the ratio f divided by f of psi. And this actually, if we write this model in terms of quantile function, this creates a differential equation. So the inverse problem is not an integral, it's not a bad case, it's a good case, because in order to solve our inverse problem, we have to solve a differential equation which has this form here. We have the quantile function what we observe, A is the given function, we have the f minus 1 function and its derivative here. In particular, this is an example of the solution in the case of third price auction. So the good result, the good property, this is a very good model because we may estimate density at a parametric rate. Because if what we can show, we may estimate f minus 1, f, and the two derivatives converge at the square root n to Gaussian processes, and we may characterize the density. So it's not surprising that we can estimate density at the parametric rate, because it's not the density of the data, it's another object, purely artificial, which may be interpreted at the density of unobservable data, but this is not the density of the actual data. But what it is quite surprising, so if I have this type of model here, to estimate the density of the psi, is better to estimate the x, to observe the x, than to observe the psi. Because if I estimate through the inversion of this differential equation, I get an estimation of the density which converts at the square root n speed. And this is not the case if I forgot the game and if I estimate just using the psi here. So this is some paradox. We can throw up a part of your sample. The observation of the actual data generated by f are not relevant, and only the observation of the x should be used in order to estimate the density of the psi here. Okay, so we may spend hours and hours discussing game theoretic model. So this is a non-standard class of statistical model, and one of my objectives is to motivate mathematicians and mathematical statisticians to have a look to this type of problem, which are very, very strange, from which we can derive very unusual results. The last point I want to treat briefly this morning is also strictly related to one of the examples I have given at the beginning, which is the GMM model. So I want to address a semi-parametric problem. We want to estimate a density and a parameter theta using something which is probably the most popular method for econometrician, which is the GMM approach. And the way I want to treat that is in the Bayesian framework, because I have worked on that field, and this is another type of presentation I can say. So I want to show why this may be generated a particular class of inverse problem, and how we can treat it in the Bayesian framework. So I recall the framework of GMM. So we take the simple case. We have a random element x, which is generated by a probability distribution characterized by f, and we have a moment equation. So we are interested by a parameter theta, which satisfies this moment equation here, and the dimension of the parameter theta is finite. So the model is typically over-identified because the dimension of h is larger than the dimension of theta here. So we have more equations than parameter, and so we say that not all the function f satisfies this property here. The true function should satisfy the property, but it's not the case. In particular, if you plug in this equation any estimation f, if you take the empirical mean here, there is no theta which satisfies this equation for the empirical mean. So this is because we have constraint, and it is a structural approach in econometrics. We have more equations than the parameter we want to estimate. So what are the solutions adopted by standard econometrician? The first approach is to replace the resolution of this equation. So the first idea is to replace the x by the sample, to take the average, and to solve this equation. So instead of solving this equation, we can minimize a norm of this equation here. So this creates the so-called GMM traditional approach. If the v depends on theta, which is the more often case, we may estimate iteratively theta and v sequentially, and so this is a continuously updated estimation of the GMM. So this is another approach just for the history, which is called the generalized empirical likelihood. So the idea is to try to find the estimation of capital F, which is as close as possible to the empirical one, with some divergence, typically Kullback-Leibniz or Edinger distance, something like that. So we try to try the best F in sense of proximity of distance with respect to empirical one, which satisfies the moment condition. So we have usually if we are in over-identified case, this is not the empirical one, but we try to find that, and so from this optimization problem, we may derive the F and the theta which solves this equation here. And there are a huge literature in econometric about this method here. So what I want to do is a little different. So I want to try to solve that in a Bayesian approach, and this is something which a lot of people have worked on that. The kind of solution I can propose, which are related to inverse problem, is this type of solution here. So I have two parameters. My parameter is the density of the density of the distribution F. It's a density with respect to some measure pi, and the theta parameter here. So what I realize here is that the moment condition are in fact a linear constraint on the F. So I will address that. I will assume that F is in L2 of this probability pi, and I will treat the moment constraint as a linear constraint on the F. I do something which is also used in machine learning or in support vector machine. So I transform my simple sample into a more complicated. So I transform the xi into functions, and I consider a kernel k, and I transform each xi into a function of t, k of xi and t, and so I take the average of that, and I create this model here. So where the object I can estimate is a function of t, and this is a mean with respect to the true density F of this expression here. And I have the estimation noise, and the estimation noise is well known because it's typically some kind of Brownian bridge or derivation of Brownian bridge here. And I can assume that I know sigma, or that I have an estimation of sigma I can plug in that estimation. And so this generates an inverse problem, but the complexity of that problem is that F possibly negative or a little negative, depending on the choice of the prior variance. So this may be excellent. So what we typically do, we have the parameter space is theta, and we generate F such that these constraints are satisfied. So as I want to do that estimation in a Bayesian framework, I just recall the way I address linear inverse problem in the Bayesian framework. This is not exactly the same way that it has been done by Van der Waard and co-authors, or maybe we will see a paper by Jan tomorrow, which consider also that question here. The way we have treated with Anna Simoni this type of model is the following. So we observe a y depending, the notation are specific to the notation of that paper here. So the y delta, my object of interest is x here. I have an operator kx, so the y delta given x is generated by a Gaussian process with mean kx and variance delta sigma. And we put a prior on x, which is also a Gaussian distribution with a Gaussian process with a mean x0 and a variance delta divided by some regularization parameter alpha, and we can control this ratio here. And omega 0, it's an operator in the Hilbert space of function x. And an interesting case is that we can introduce an Hilbert scale and choose omega 0 as a function of the Hilbert scale. So remember in terms of Laplacian, and if we have in mind a Laplacian, we can put the prior distribution function at some power of the Laplacian. So up to now, we have considered L as the standard derivative operator. This may be the square root of the Laplacian, but now, as I am working more in the geometrical approach, it's interesting to consider L as a minus the Laplacian, not as a positive operator here. So the main problem to do Bayesian analysis in that problem is that we can construct very easily the joint distribution of x and the delta, but if you want to apply the conditional, the standard finite dimensional conditional formula, we have to inverse some variance, and so we are faced with the traditional problem of inversion of an operator in Hilbert space. So what we have in particular proved, we have found conditions under which we can do the inversion, and in particular we have a condition about the range of this operator. So we can choose omega 0 such that the range of this transformation is included in the domain of the inverse, which is a differential operator of the sigma, and in that case we may construct exactly we have a regular version of the conditional distribution with this mean and this variance, and this mean may be written in that way, and the variance may be written using this matrix A and this operator A and B here. So this may be done, and just to say that this has been done, and we can consider. Here we are in a very good framework, so we can analyze its posterior distribution, we can analyze its concentration rate, we can do everything. We will use this Gaussian process, not in a purely Bayesian approach, because if you are strictly Bayesian, we stop here, but in the sampling approach, we consider sampling distribution of this posterior distribution, and in particular, we may analyze concentration rate. What I want to say is that, just to close this parenthesis of Bayesian approach of linear inverse problem, so we can consider the alpha, remember what I have written here? I have not developed that, but the prior is conditional to alpha. So the regularization parameter may be considered as an hyperparameter of the Bayesian models. And then we can compute the posterior, we may put a prior distribution on alpha. It may be uniform, but it may be any prior you want. And so we can compute the posterior distribution of alpha. And then we are able to do that. I don't remember if I put the slide. So we may integrate out the x, and we compute the joint distribution. And finally, we get the sampling distribution of y given alpha, and then we can compute the posterior distribution. The good news in that model, and it was not obvious at the beginning, is that even if we consider normal distribution in functional spaces, the family of sampling distribution of y given alpha is dominated. All these probabilities are equivalent. We can check the condition of dominance here. And so we have a likelihood in alpha, because this sampling distribution are dominated, and then we can estimate alpha by posterior modes, for example. So if you put a prior distribution of alpha, we can compute the posterior mode, and this is a purely data-driven way to select alpha. And in some previous papers, then we have exactly considered the property of this estimation of alpha, and we have kind of oracle inequality, and then if you plug in this alpha in the previous step. So to conclude, I go back to the GMM approach, and this will be my very last slides. So I go back to this problem because this is very fundamental to econometry. So remember my problem, I have some parameter theta in a subset of Rk. I have f, so I create a f, which is a Gaussian process with a mean f0 theta and a variance omega 0 theta. And my sample is this transformation of the data into function, which is distributed by a normal Gaussian with a mean kf and the variance, which has a form 1 over n sigma. And sigma, it's difficult to assume that sigma is given, but we have proved that we can replace sigma by a consistent estimator, and this does not destroy the property of this object here. So the problem is to choose omega 0 theta in such a way that f generated by the prior satisfies the moment condition, and this is easy if you choose omega 0 theta in such a way that it's not a regular operator. It should satisfy these two properties here. This may be expressed in terms of reproducing kernel Hilbert space generated by omega 0, but this is a point I want not to detail here. And so what we can show is that if you select correctly your omega 0, and typically what we will do is the following. For any theta, we have the basis generated by 1 and the function half of x and theta, which is typically a basis of a dimension k plus 1. So we take an orthonormal basis of this space, and we complete this basis, and we choose omega 0 such that its eigenvalue are 0 for the first k plus 1 element of this basis, and whatever you want for the rest here. And so we can do the posterior distribution of that. And finally, it's not the more general case, but it's interesting to show what we obtain. We may compute the posterior distribution of theta given is Rn, our sample, which is a prior, and this kind of likelihood. So in general, this is not so simple. It is a simplification in case where the eigenvalues of omega 0 theta does not depend on theta. They may depend on theta. If they depend on theta, the formula is more complicated. But we get this form here, which is not very difficult to treat, and we can do numerical analysis of this posterior distribution. And we have different interpretation of that. In particular, we show that we show that if we take if your distribution or your prior distribution of f on the density become more and more flat, we get exactly formula which has been obtained previously, and we get exactly the same estimators that in the frequentist case. So we have studied the property of this posterior distribution, in particular in the way that the choice of the lambda j, which may be function of n or not, appears in the computation of that posterior distribution here. Last things, we can also compute the posterior distribution of the density using the kind of formula I have presented before for the general Bayesian linear models. We get this formula. I don't detail that formula. We should show that the f generated by the posterior distribution satisfies the moment constraint with probability 1, and we can study all the properties, the concentration inequality, and everything about this. So this is an illustration of a mixing of different approach in econometrics. So the GMM, which is standard, the inverse problem, which appear if you want to estimate the density, and the Bayesian presentation of that. So I want to give few words on conclusion of this thing. There are many things I have not quoted, so I remember that my presentation is very strongly biased in direction of my own previous interest, and I have dropped out many other things which has been done. there are many things which has been done by other people. In particular, in relation what has been presented before, there are a lot of people who work on the so-called random coefficient model, which has this form here, and this lead to deconvolution on the sphere and to radon. Sorry, it's not correctly written, and to radon transform Enomamen, and a lot of people have written on that. There is also an approach which extends the GMM I have presented before in terms of where the theta becomes a function itself. And in particular, people like Xiang Shen have worked a lot on that, and there are different papers by Shen and Puzo which address the functional GMM here. There is also, this is a point I have not considered, there is a lot of application where we have type 2 integral equation, and so the kind of equation we have in mind is the following. This is a particular example. So we want to look at the function phi which satisfies this equation. We have two variables, z1 and z2, and so the phi minus the expectation of phi of z1 given z2 is equal to some function we can estimate. And so this is a problem we can address also, and we know all the theory of that. Points I have not really treated, I have said that several times, but I have not presented the minimax, the property of the choice of the regularization parameter and the impact of this choice. I want to, this is an example, it is an extension because this is something which interests me recently. So it's a dynamic problem. So we mixed stochastic calculus or diffusion process, and we are interested by this kind of integral equation. So we have a function phi. So mu and sigma are the drift and the volatility of some diffusions. As they depend on Z and W, on the endogenous and of the instrument. Phi only depends on Z and on the time. It is not depend on the time in my equation here, but it may depend on the time. So we mixed a differential problem where phi appears by the two derivatives here, weighted by something we can estimate. This is a function of Z, this is a function of Z and W. We take the conditional mean with respect to W, and on the left side we have something we can estimate. So we want to try to solve this conditional expectation equation and the inverse of the infinitesimal generator of diffusion. People like Jeff Racine or Frédéric Fèvre in Toulouse or Samuel Santorino, I developed software. So everything I have presented on instrumental variable estimation, at least in the easy case, has been implemented by several people. In particular, there are computer program in R by Jeff Racine. And so this will be my last word. My recent interest is about the introduction of networks of graph effects, which is strongly related to what has been presented, what will be presented by Gérard. So thank you very much, and bon appétit.
Thank you very much.